Hello everyone. One of my first videos about Docker and explaining exactly what it is. Of course, if you've gotten to this video, you found my YouTube channel or my website. Like, subscribe at the bottom, yada yada. You know the typical drill. So, let's consider Docker. Everyone in IT has heard about Docker at one point or another. Let's say you're a software developer. You've created this application that runs, let's say preferably on Linux, Ubuntu. You've got it running, everything's perfect, you're ready to package it up and you're ready to distribute it. Well, you've taken the package and you've created a what they can call a Docker image. It's basically everything that you've created, your software program, your coding, your application, in one file or in a container or yeah, in a container with an operating system and everything that it needs. All its requirements, everything it relies on, if it's MySQL or any type of database, everything packaged together. With these files, you would create a Docker Compose or a Docker file. This would be your image. You would take the image, you could upload it to GitHub or you could upload it to Docker Hub, and then somebody could come along and download your image onto their PC. From their PC, they would take the image and they would create a container. The container is like the actual functioning version of the image, the files it's actually running, the software itself. But the thing about Docker is it's universal. No matter what PC and no matter what hardware you're running on, it can be scaled up, it can be scaled down, it can be expanded. The image that you created that's designed to run on this PC is guaranteed to run on the next PC because it does not rely on anything of the host operating system. It is completely independent. It is a container in itself. So you have the software that's packaged in the image, it's easily distributed, and can run on any platform. It doesn't matter if it's Ubuntu, Debian, Windows, Windows Server, Amazon. It will run on almost any operating system, any host. Now, I said almost because you have 64-bit systems, ARM systems, and different processors out there, which the packages have to be changed a little in order to function on those. But now you've taken this package and you've distributed it to your PC, and then another person distributes to theirs. Let's say you need to start scaling it up. So now you can distribute it to Data Center 1, Data Center 2, and Data Center 3, where each one of these have server forms of terabytes worth of storage and hardware that can run the software. It is scaled up in a Docker Swarm. It's actually what it's called, where you have multiple servers running Docker, working together and sharing resources in between. You can have that one container here, but it actually be on 4 different servers. Scalability, expanding, compatibility. Everything moves together. Now I can show you an example. Let me get a window open here. This is VS Code, but this is a Docker Compose file. You'll see everything in here. This is basically the instructions on what Docker is to do. Goes through what version, the services it needs, the name, the container name, the location of the software, the ports to open, the environment, the passwords, passwords, and anything else that's there that it possibly needs. It's almost it's an answer file. It's a step by step for what it to do. Now, if we actually took and open up a command prompt, it's not going to allow me to do the command prompt. Let me try opening up a PowerShell. Okay, so I may have to actually give you an example in another video. Now, if you're running on a server, you're not really going to run a GUI version. You're going to run command line. Everything's command line. I was going to show you that a few minutes ago. However, PowerShell is not wanting to cooperate. I'll get back with that. But this is the Docker application for Windows. It's very simple. Containers, images, Docker environments. Of course, it wants me to get started. Nothing much here. You can start, you can stop with container. For example, this one right here, it is Docker getting started. I can start it and stop it. Very simple. I'm going to try one more time. Getting a PowerShell open here. And if it doesn't work, we may just have to come back to it. There it actually goes. Here's a PowerShell. You can see I'm actually already in the directory. If I do a Docker image ls, now I use a -a because it automatically shows all. Let me show you the difference. There's my two containers running. You see the top one is the unofficial device service bot. Bottom one's just your standard Docker getting started. Now, sometimes they will not show up. You use a -a and you get a little more information, especially if they're older and haven't been ran in a while. Now, you also can do Docker container ls, and you see there's nothing. Then, for example, do a -a, and you see the ones that's actually not running. These are just settings on my system. Now, the directory I'm in actually has Pi-hole, application, ad blocking. So I can actually do a Docker compose up -d. I do the up gets started, starts it. -d actually disconnects it. So if I close this command prompt, it's still going to continue running in the background. Remove the -d and it's reliant on this command prompt. If I close this window, it stops. Of course, I'll put you links to all the documentation for the different websites in the comments. Let me double check the configuration here of this Docker, and we will try it one more time. Okay. So what it's doing is just going through the answer file. It's creating the Docker, the Pi-hole network. It is now reaching out to the internet to Docker Hub and pulling those images from that answer file. Internet's kind of slow here for a second. Let's just give it a moment. See if I can make this a little bit bigger for everybody. You'll also find on my website how to create Pi-hole in Amazon Web Services, so you can have Pi-hole, the ad blocking, running on your laptop, mobile devices, router, everything you have in your system, and like I said, mobile devices. So you can take it with you, ad block on the road, and even your cell phone. Think of opening up all your games, no ads. Sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Feel like I need some elevator music going on here. Done. Now if I do Docker image ls, you see I have the mercenary official device service bot Pi-hole. Pi-hole was not there a few minutes ago. Docker getting started. If I do a Docker container ls, you'll see that container ID Pi-hole created 17 seconds ago. Status up, healthy. So it is running, is ready to go. If I open up another window here, I feel like I'm gonna have 1,000 windows going and show you. This is actually the Pi-hole. This is the service running. Oh, I'm not worried about what the password is. I'm gonna shut it right back down. But when I get finished, all I gotta do is Docker container, get my ID and do Docker. I'm sorry, I did switch screens back. So what I did is I did a Docker container ls, got the container ID, and then I did a Docker container stop. So now I refresh here. It's shut down. It stopped. It's not running. The excellent thing about Docker is you can take that same answer file and I can distribute it on 20 different machines. Just that fast. Deploy software, download it, install it, run it. It's amazing. Learn Docker? Hell yes. If you're going to be in IT, you're going to work any type of network administration, database, systems administrator, anything, learn Docker. Even become familiar with it. Just know your basic commands. You can always do Docker without anything behind it, and it gives you your basic commands. You have from your debugging and context to app builders, configuring, networking node, all your options right on down to the bottom. Even gives you the link to docs.docker.guides. Sorry guys, I did it again. If you do just Docker by itself with no commands behind it, you can actually see here it gives you all the commands that you can possibly run, including the link to Docker's documentation site. Now I'm going to flip back on purpose this time and show you. Here's getting started, downloads, guides, references, product materials. This is how I learned. I came here, found the product manuals, found the guides, started it, installed it, ran it, did it. They have videos, they have tutorials, everything's here. Just learn it. Guys, take care. Everyone be safe. And like and subscribe.